This is Oscar-worthy acting here, too.
Oh, yes. It's, they all gave a tour de force performance as compared to Troll 2.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome to Franchise Frights Podcast. I'm Mandy.
I'm Kam.
And we're here.
It's so nice out. So what are we doing?
Hiding in the basement.
Yes. Makes sense.
Well, yeah.
It's 75 and sunny out. Let's go sit in the dark basement.
I know. We should have gone for a...
Oh, you can't say that word. The Beagle's here.
I know. For an outing.
It rhymes with chalk. So guys, this episode comes out a few days before St. Patty's, so this is your obligatory mom and dad speech, okay? You need to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Get a designated driver, or Uber it, take a cab. Are cabs still a thing? Do cabs exist?
Yeah.
Do they?
I followed one the other day.
Did you?
Oh, when I was at the airport.
Oh. Mandy's a globetrotter. She's out jet setting with Taylor Swift.
No, I drove to the airport and left.
She does that.
I just like to see how long it'll take.
And this is also your reminder that since St. Patty's Day is coming up, you should enjoy some Irish whiskey or a nice Irish stout and watch the Leprechaun movies.
Oh.
I love it.
Jameson ginger ale and some Leprechaun?
Yes, but not for me.
Nope.
Because as of today, I'm 50 days alcohol free.
Ooh.
I'm so good at it.
You're so good at it.
I'm doing so good.
You're so good at quitting.
I'm so good at quitting. I've quit everything.
Such a good quitter.
Except smoking.
I forgot that I didn't have my squishy ball, and so I kept playing with the string from my pants.
Oh. Mandy has ADHD. Mandy, do you have any horror movie news?
No, I just told you I forgot to look it up.
I know, I just wanted to shame you on air. Is that what we call this? On air?
I don't know. Sure.
This is a radio show.
This is on the tape. You recorded us onto the tape.
Well, I have two pieces of horror movie news. Final Destination 6 started filming on March 5th, and the movie's going to be titled Final Destination Bloodlines. The creator of the franchise, Jeffrey Reddick, said, "It's a true Final Destination movie, but it doesn't follow the kind of formula that we've kind of established." Whatever the hell that means.
Was that a real sentence?
It's a Final Destination movie, except it's not really a Final Destination movie.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jason Blum kind of talked around an issue as well. He gave a non-update update on the future of the Exorcist franchise after David Gordon Green ditched out on the next installment. They have officially canceled the April 2025 release date for Exorcist Deceiver. And this is what Jason Blum had to say. "We're definitely going to make another Exorcist movie, but I wanted more time to figure out what it would be. I have no idea what it's going to be yet."
Why are they putting these quotes in places?
I don't know.
That's funny.
I feel like renegade journalists just run up to their houses.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, what can you tell us?" And they're like, a thing is going to happen or not.
I do have some news.
Oh.
And you don't even know this, and you're going to be so excited.
Lay it on me.
So, Dawn of the Dead is going to be returning to theaters for its 45th anniversary.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We should
starting
go see it.
April 12th.
Is it going to be one of those things where it's like Cinemark and it's going to be
Well, our theater probably won't get it.
like
'cause
a Wednesday night only showing at 8:45?
it says starting April 12th and running through the end of May.
Oh, wow. I always think it's funny when they're like, this movie's returning to theaters. 17 theaters across the nation
Yeah,
for
I'm
one showing.
I'm sure that's what this probably is too, but
on an off night. Yeah, I would be very excited to go see Dawn of the Dead in the
especially
theater.
like in a drive-in.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
That'd be really cool.
Do you have anything else you need to discuss?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, would you like to lay down the facts and figures for Saw 3?
Saw 3 was released October 27th, 2006. It stars Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, and Angus.
You know, like the beef.
Angus.
Yeah.
Is that a name?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a Scottish name.
Okay. Angus McFadden. Oh, he probably plays Jeff.
Yes.
Bahar Sumke.
I think it's Sumac.
Sumek.
I think.
That sounds good.
Don't quote me on it,
Bahar
though.
Sumek. I like the way that sounds.
Names are hard for me.
And then, is that Dina or Dinah?
I think it's Dina.
Okay. Dina Meyer. Mayer. There are a lot of ways to say people's names if you haven't noticed.
And if they're wrong, fuck you for having a weird name.
Yeah, spell your name right.
Yeah. Like Cameron with a K.
I know.
What
Who
the hell's up with
fuck does
that?
that? Directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, written by Lee Wannell, produced by Greg Hoffman, Oren Cools, and Mark Berg. Cinematography by David A. Armstrong. Music by Charlie Clouser. The production company was Twisted Pictures. Distributed by Lionsgate. It has a runtime of 108 minutes. Its budget was $10 million.
Or 15.2 million today.
And its box office was $165 million.
Or 252 million today.
That's a lot of money.
Is that the cheddar? The bling bling?
Yes.
The greenbacks?
It has an IMDb score of 6.2 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 29% for the critics and 71% for the audience. That's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And then the Rotten Tomatoes critics consensus. Saw 3 does little beyond repeating its predecessor's tropes on a gorier level.
That's pretty accurate.
Yes.
Did you have any reviewers' quotes and quips?
Did you want to start or would you want me to start?
I can start.
Okay.
Jeanette Katsoulis of the New York Times said, "The most depressing thing about this series is not the creativity of the bloodletting, but the bleak view of human nature, specifically our talent for ruining the present to avenge the past. In the opening scene, a man frees himself from an ankle restraint by pulverizing his foot with a brick. Fortunately, all we have to do is get up and leave."
Ugh. I don't like that scene.
I don't think you liked a lot of scenes in this movie.
Jamie Russell from the BBC said, "Jittery, crack-high editing adds an extra layer of horror to the proceedings. The production design is what you'd expect from a snuff movie."
Ooh.
Yeah.
Suddenly I'm interested. Robert Kohler, or maybe it's Keeler,
Maybe.
of Variety said, "Pick's most blood-curdling scene is when Lynn drills into Jigsaw's skull, which suggests that the franchise's exploitative use of torture to make an audience squirmy has lost its effect. A bigger problem lies with Lee Wannell's script, which utilizes so many flashbacks and explanatory inserts that the tension, a defining feature of the first Saw, is lost."
Yeah. I like that.
Pretty much.
Huh.
Reason I stumbled over audience was he just referred to the audience as odd,
Oh.
A-U-D. Like, what?
What the fuck's an odd?
Like, that's not a word.
Yeah. Darren Lynn Bousman. That's who.
Directed the movie.
Yes. Oh, it's like it only copied half of my quote.
Oh.
We're going to say, I don't know by who, but by someone.
Okay.
The violent content isn't the problem in Saw 3. This time around, screenwriter Lee Wanell seems to be almost taunting the audience with the lack of realism in the script.
See, I don't agree with that.
You don't?
I felt like this was very real, and like I felt like it was rather down to earth until it starts to tie it all in at the end.
Yeah, I don't.
But like I feel like this plot very much fit Jigsaw and his whole like, this is my requiem, like,
Yeah.
until the very, very last scene. And then I'm like, really? So while we're talking about it, what were your initial impressions of this movie?
So, I've never seen this movie before, so I didn't really have a whole lot of impressions about it.
Yeah.
I just put that I'm super nervous because Kam keeps saying, oh, just wait for Saw 3.
And I was right.
And then I put, well, now it's time to watch it. Eek!
I like that you eked. I said, this is my favorite in the franchise, and this was another one of those movies that I rented and then watched it multiple times before I returned it, and it made me want to go back and watch the first two movies again.
I get that.
I like the reveal of the connections at the end of the movie, and I kind of like the twist on who the test was really for. And there's some issues I have with this movie, but I can look past them for what it brings to the series.
Oh.
Because this ends up being a very important movie in the series moving forward.
Okay.
Did you have anything else to say before I start our plot rundown?
I did not.
All right. Here's the plot rundown for Saw 3.
Oh, goody goods.
We open with some voiceovers on the titles from the last movie, and we get to hear Donnie Wahlberg yell some obscenities, which I think is how every movie should start.
Yeah.
Now we see Mr. Wahlberg on the floor in the gross bathroom. Mandy's so excited to be back in the gross bathroom.
I love the gross bathroom.
He's crying and he tries to reach his gun. When he gets it, the clip is empty.
See, here I put, like, I really wish there would have been just one bullet in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, do you take the easy, quote unquote, way out? Or, like, do you wait and starve to death?
Or do you shoot your foot?
Do you break your ankle? Like, I think it would have just added something.
Yeah. So he gets his flashlight and he tries to break the pipe that he's chained to while screaming his son's name. And then I said, oh boy, we get to hear him yell Daniel again. He shines the light around the room and sees the saw, Xavier's dead body, and Dr. Gordon's hacked off mummified foot. He takes the saw, and we think he's going to saw off his own foot, but he can't do it. And instead he finds, I don't know, it's really dark. Was it the toilet tank lid?
Yes.
Okay. So Donnie Wahlberg beats on his foot with the toilet tank lid to break all the bones.
Why do they always try to cut above the cuff?
I don't know.
Wouldn't you cut below the cuff?
I would want to lose as little leg as possible.
But they just always show him on the top, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Sorry.
Well, then you get the cuff off. Guaranteed.
Yeah?
Then, after he breaks all the bones in his foot, he uses his hands to break his ankle so he can slide the busted foot through the collar of the chain.
I'm oh.
It's rough.
So, like, I watched this once. I don't remember what night, Saturday night.
I think so.
And then I took my notes Sunday night, so I've watched it twice. And the second time this scene came up, like, I'm not even kidding, I had to plug my ears and close my eyes.
You're like, this is only about 18 seconds.
Because I couldn't handle watching it again. Like,
it's pretty gnarly.
Especially, like, you know, I have ankle issues.
Yes.
And so it just makes it even worse because I know what it feels like, and it's ugh.
It's not pleasant.
And then I put okay, so given the choice, would you take the saw, the bullet, or the toilet lid?
I would probably go toilet lid because that's repairable at least.
Yeah.
And like once I get out of there, Hopefully I can find a doctor and be like, can you put my foot back
I don't think
together?
they're going to put Donnie Wahlberg's foot back together.
What would you do?
Bullet.
Just to the head?
Yeah.
Now we see a cutting torch cutting through some metal. The metal falls and a bunch of SWAT guys come pouring through the door they just cut open with the torch. They're inside a jigsaw trap.
Uh-oh.
One of the SWAT guys calls Carrie. Carrie shows up at the scene, and someone in the background says that someone called in the sound of an explosion. She asks the SWAT guy if it's Eric, and he says, "We don't know." It's very dramatic.
Very dramatic.
But they don't leave us in suspense for long. Carrie walks into the room, and a detective who is looking at the scene tells her it's not Detective Matthews. That's Donnie Wahlberg for those keeping score at home. Now we see the crime scene for the first time. We get quick cuts, because it's Saw.
Mm-hmm.
We see several body parts strewn across the floor, and they look to be kind of burned up. Then we see a jigsaw piece cut out of one of the body parts. And Carrie asks the bulky detective man what the deal is, and he tells her that the victim was held in place by chains. Now we cut to the victim waking up in the trap. He's in what looks to be like an elementary school classroom, and he's in his underwear sitting in a chair, and there are chains attached to like his bottom jaw. It's like going through
like
the
his
bottom of
soft
his
palate.
mouth.
Like, ugh.
Oh boy. Both shoulder muscles above his collarbones and his biceps, and then he stands up and we see that there are a lot more chains attached to his lower body.
There's a lot.
And of course he starts screaming because, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
A TV comes on in the corner of the room and we see Billy the puppet. Jigsaw's voice says, "Hello, Troy." I can't do it.
No, just
I want to play a game. This game will take place in a room not much bigger than the room you've spent most of your life in, a prison cell. Despite all the advantages and privileges that you were given at birth, you have returned to prison, and I love the way he says again and again. I love it. More comfortable in chains than you are in freedom. Tonight, we will see how far you are willing to go to break those chains once and for all. Live or die, Troy. Make your choice. I wish I could do Tobin Bell's voice.
I know, he has a cool voice.
Now we hear a countdown clock start up, and Troy looks over, and we see a teddy bear hugging a glass jar filled with rusty nails. There are wires and a timer, so I think we can assume that's a bomb.
That's a pretty good assumption.
It cuts back to present time, and the bulky detective man says, "It was a bomb."
You're so smart.
The victim had to release himself from the chains and walk out the door before the bomb went off. And I think he says all he had to do was free himself from the chains.
Yes, he made it sound like it was not a big deal.
Yeah. So we cut back to Troy and his chains, and he pulls one off of his hand, and then the other, and then the one on the biceps, and then his collarbone meat, and then off of his ribs, and the other collarbone meat, then the other bicep, then the other rib, and by far the worst is he had chains secured to both of his Achilles.
Ugh.
And he just steps forward and kicks his leg forward and rips it free. Ugh. The timer keeps counting down as he's ripping the chains free. He was working on the one that's hooked through his bottom jaw when the timer runs out. Back in present time...
I'm confused here because, like, with a bomb like that, isn't it going to be shrapnel that kills you?
Yeah.
It's not going to explode your body into 100 pieces.
No, but that shrapnel could cut you to ribbons.
You think those little rusty nails are going to make his body go into, like...
Well, with enough force. I mean, you're getting the concussion of the blast.
Yeah.
And all the shrapnel.
I just thought it seemed very extreme.
Well, it's Saw. It is extreme. It's extreme like corn nuts.
Oh, yeah. Only ranch-flavored corn nuts.
Oh, yeah. Back in present time, Carrie tells SWAT Guy that she really thought this scene was going to be Eric. And SWAT Guy tries to comfort her by telling, Eric's missing, not dead yet. Maybe. She's having nightmares about Eric. And SWAT Guy doesn't understand how Jigsaw could have set up this trap since the last time they saw him, he was nearly dead. You know, because he has the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't doing well.
No.
And then Donnie Wahlberg beat the shit out of him. Carrie doesn't think that Jigsaw was behind this trap. It doesn't fit his MO. The door was sealed shut. The door was welded shut so that Troy couldn't escape. The crime scene tech tells them that when they got the tape out, they got it out clean so they can watch Billy the Puppet.
Yay!
We get panning shots over the crime scene, and then it transitions to Carrie in her tub at home.
Okay, like, so is that going to come back in another movie?
What?
Like the whole, we got the tape clean. Because...
It comes back in this movie. She's sitting at home watching the tape.
Oh. Gotcha.
So Carrie gets out of the tub and has a hallucination of Detective Matthews standing in the mirror behind her. Now she's in her bed watching the Troy tape, and she has case file stuff spread out all over the bed. So you can tell she's a woman obsessed.
No, because she doesn't have any red string.
Oh, that's true. This is no Pepe Sylvia. Then the screen switches, and she sees there's a live camera hiding in her closet recording her. She draws her gun and fires into the closet several times. She approaches the door. She finds the camera, and as she's freeing it, the cloaked pig mask person comes up behind her and snatches her up.
I really liked this shot because it kind of changed, like, POV, because she's walking into the camera, like, towards the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that, but then, like, we're watching the TV look back outside the closet, and that's when we see the pig face.
Well, and I like that when she's getting ready to walk in the closet, like, she was, like, looking on the TV to see exactly where the camera was, and once she had her gun pointed right at it, she's like, okay, now I can go in.
Yeah.
Now we're in another dilapidated room, and Carrie is in a trap of her own. She has a vest-looking thing strapped onto her chest, and there's lots of metal, and she's suspended from the floor by chains. She awakens to a key being dropped into a beaker full of liquid next to her, and it starts bubbling.
Ooh.
She starts to pull at the chains and tries to free herself before a tape starts playing on the TV next to her. Hey, it's Billy! And the Jigsaw voice says, "Hello, Carrie. I want to play a game. Up until now, you've spent your life among the dead, piecing together their final moments. You're good at this because you, like them, are also dead. Dead on the inside. You identify you identify more with a cold corpse than you do with a living human. I can't talk. I believe you want to join your true family, indeed your only family, in death. The device you're wearing is hooked into your rib cage. By the time this tape is finished, you will have 1 minute to find a way out. At the end of that minute, you should know better than anyone else what happens then. There's a simple key that will unlock the harness. It's right in front of you. All you have to do is reach in and take it, but do it quickly. The acid will dissolve the key in a matter of seconds. Make your choice."
I don't want to stick my hand in there.
No, but Carrie does.
Yeah.
And while the video's playing, we see a bit more of the device, and it is definitely hooked into her rib cage. And we can see there's blood around all the spots where it's hooked into her. And there's some bubbles rising from the key in the acid beaker. And when the video starts, she immediately...
Stops.
Oh yeah, starts. Stops. Stops. She immediately starts shrieking and pulling at the chains and trying to figure out how to get out of the device. And then we get lots of quick cuts. After a few seconds, she starts futzing with the acid beaker, trying to tip it over so she doesn't have to stick her hand in it.
I know it was chained up there, but, like, I feel like she could have got a little bit of acid out of that.
Maybe. But, I mean, you're still having to stick your hand in it either way.
Yeah.
It's chained in place pretty well, so she just dunks her whole hand in, and her hand is all chemical burned and a gross, chunky gore fest when she pulls it out. She gets the key, she unlocks the harness, but it doesn't release her. Then someone walks into the room. We can't see their face, but it appears to be a woman, and Carrie recognizes them. She looks towards the mystery person and says, "You." And then the device goes off and rips Carrie's front off. And we can see lots of organs and gushy things on the inside of her.
But I like that it was filmed from behind.
She slumps over all dead-like, and then we get some quick cuts of the gore and grossness on the inside of her.
I made a note here. I'm like, is Jigsaw completely changing his MO? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want them to survive the traps.
Huh.
And remember what Amanda said in 2. No, he wants us to survive this.
Yeah.
So now we cut to a couple in a bedroom. The man is sitting in the bed looking very grumpy, and the woman is sitting on the edge of the bed facing away from him, and she looks sad.
Mm-hmm.
She informs him that she has to go to work at the hospital earlier than usual tonight and takes some sort of pill from a prescription bottle. He wants to talk, and she asks what he wants of her. He says, a divorce.
The acting in this scene isn't even soap opera worthy.
No.
It's so bad. There's no chemistry whatsoever between the two of them. Like,
no.
They're literally just reading lines off a sheet of paper.
And when the guy first came on the screen, I was like, is that Tom Cavanaugh? And then he talked, and I'm like, no, that's not Tom Cavanaugh. So we find out that the woman's name is Lynn, and she leaves to go to work. She's in we see a bustling ER, and Lynn is a doctor, and she's paged, but she's super busy just sitting in the locker room looking sad.
She's disassociating.
Yes. A nurse comes to get her, and she goes out to perform her doctorly duties. There's a little kid on a table, and she puts a chest tube in him and saves the day. And she looks very disconnected the whole time.
Yeah.
The nurse reams her out and tells her to get her head in the game. Cut back to the locker room, and Lynn is back in her street clothes and taking another pill. She goes to leave, but the door to the locker room is locked. That's why they call it a locker room. She pulls out her flip phone and tries to call for help.
Well, no wonder she can't get any help.
Yeah. Then, cloaked pig face mask person gets her too.
I don't like the pig face mask.
I don't either, but I really want it to be my Halloween costume.
So scary.
Now we're in yet another dilapidated building, and at this point, the first time I saw the movie, I'm like, are you just going to kill everyone? Just like, hey, here's a character. Guess what? They're dead. Hey, here's a character. Guess what? They're dead. But in this dilapidated building, a cloaked person walks in carrying a grocery bag and turns on all the lights and several monitors. We see Lynn tied to a chair and gagged, and she's in a room filled with dummies and dioramas of jigsaw traps. The cloaked person lowers their hood, and it's Amanda. But her hair is long now.
Well, why does she look so different?
Well, she had a baby between 2 and 3.
But, like, she's fucking ripped in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if it's just her hair length that made her face look that much different.
I don't know. And I wonder, too, like, there wasn't a lot of time between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
How'd her hair get that long that fast?
Well, it could have been a wig.
But, no, I mean, like, in the storyline.
Oh, okay.
No, I understand how production works.
She took prenatal vitamins.
Oh. So Amanda wheels Lynn to another room where Jigsaw is on a hospital gurney, and he looks just about dead. He's very gray.
Mm-hmm.
He's hooked
his skin and hair and everything's all the same color.
Uh-huh. He's hooked up to a bunch of monitors and an IV and an oxygen mask, and there are tons of pill bottles next to him. And he says, "Hello, Dr. Denlin. You may not remember me, but I most certainly remember you. I was a guest at your hospital once. Do you remember me?" Amanda drops a file into Lynn's lap, and she reads the file and recognizes the name from the news. It appears that Lynn was his doctor once, and she was the one who told him there were no treatments for what he has.
He doesn't like that answer.
No. Jigsaw wants to know how much time he has left, but she can't tell just by looking at him or looking at his file, because, that's kind of a hard thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
He demands her to give it a guess, and she tells him, not long. And he says, I love this line. Death is a surprise party. Unless, of course, you're already dead on the inside. Unless you're the type of person who swallows antidepressants to hide the pain, turns their back on their husband, neglects their child, who has every possible advantage in life but chooses not to advance. He just owned her.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Lynn, you suck.
Yeah.
While he's saying this to her, Amanda is tending to him. She gives him a drink of water and rubs a cool washcloth over his forehead. Then he hits Lynn with, I want to play a game. And you can see as soon as he says this, Amanda's like, oh yeah, here we go. The rules of the game are simple. The consequences for breaking them are great. Death. You're being tested. Your will is being tested. Your will to keep someone alive. Can you do that? Can you follow the rules and grant someone the gift of life? The device that you're wearing is linked to my heart rate monitor. The second the heart rate monitor flatlines or you move out of range, an explosion will go off in that collar. Your life and my life will end simultaneously. As he's saying his little speech, Amanda is securing a collar to Lynn's neck and shoulders. And I don't know why, but it always reminds me of, like old school scuba suits.
Oh, yeah.
How they have that big metal ring that goes over your like shoulders and collarbone to hold the tank.
That is very much what it's like.
Yeah. But this one has several shotgun shells mounted around it, and they're all pointing directly at Lynn's head.
Yeah.
Amanda says, "Let me give you the simple version. You will keep him alive, whatever it takes. No excuses, no equivocations, no crying." Amanda shows Lynn a band of monitors outside the room and tells her that they have another test subject, a man going through a test. Lynn has to keep John alive long enough for the man on the screens to complete his tests. Amanda arms the collar by pulling back the hammers behind all the shotgun shells. She's wearing the key to release the device around her neck. Jigsaw tells Lynn that she is a key piece of what could be his last test.
Oh.
This is his magnum opus.
It is.
A man wakes up inside of a crate now. He grunts and he kicks at the sides. Outside the crate, we can see that it's suspended on the air on the forks of a forklift. He finds a tape recorder and listens to the tape. Jigsaw tells us that the man's son was killed by a drunk driver who got let off pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's made him a shell of his former self. Now he is being tested, and if he's going to pass the test, he has to forgive those he thinks are responsible for how horrible his life is now. He has 2 hours to get through the tests, or the doors will lock forever.
The doors are always locking.
Forever.
Forever.
Jeff breaks the crate by kicking it off the forks of the forklift, and then we flash back to him playing with a gun and drinking lots of alcohol.
But he's scary.
He seems to be talking to the person he wants to murder, the guy who killed his son. He notices a stuffed animal missing from a collection next to him. He goes into his daughter's room and yells at her for taking his son Dylan's stuff. And it's not a cool scene at all. It's very uncomfortable.
No, this is a rough scene, and it's like, yeah, you feel for that little girl, terrible, but like, you feel for the dad too.
I just wanted to feel the dad's face with my palm and be like, wham! Snap out of it, buddy. It's okay to grieve. It's not okay to be a dick to the kid you have left.
Yeah.
Jeff goes back to Dylan's room, and his daughter comes in and apologizes to him.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently this isn't the first time she's experienced abusive behavior.
Yeah.
And Jeff is very sweaty, and he asks his daughter, "What do you think Mommy would say if she saw us like this?" And then his daughter leaves to go get herself ready for school.
And then you feel real bad.
And she's probably, 7?
Yeah.
Jeff closes the door to the bedroom, and pig-face mask cloaked person is hiding behind it.
This is where I got real sad because I was like, okay, we've established that Mommy's not around, and now you're going to take Daddy and...
Like, what's going to happen to the little girl?
Exactly.
Now we're back in present time, and Jeff makes his way down a hall, bumping into everything, and very poorly acting like he has a head injury.
His acting is awful,
Oh.
and then the quick shots don't make it any better.
No. He's stumbling around like he's trying to act drunk,
Yes.
but it's like he's trying to act drunk in an improv troupe.
Or like what he think, like what a 12-year-old would think
Yes.
being drunk felt like.
He finds a note that says, "Open the door, Jeff." Then he finds a piece of ripped up photo and a key. And on the back of the photo is him, but not quite so disheveled.
Nope.
He goes into the room that has meat locker curtains over it. Back at, I like to call it Command Central, Amanda is watching Jeff's progress on the monitors and goes to report to Jigsaw that Jeff is in the test, while Lynn gives him a little exam.
Lynn, like, when she's giving him the exam, she acts like she genuinely cares. And I'm like, is that just like doctor persona?
Probably just like some bedside manner training.
Yeah.
We get our first little taste of the awesome game over score playing softly in the background. Lynn tells Amanda that Jigsaw's brain is herniating and he needs to have an operation to decompress it. Amanda gets a little violent with Lynn here when she suggests that he needs to be taken to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And Lynn spits some doctor stuff out, and Amanda reveals she's already done a lot of homework and she knows the treatment options and the names of the drugs that he needs.
But she can't get the thing she needs.
No. Lynn tells Amanda that she's asking her to do the impossible. Amanda loses her temper for the third time in 1 minute, and Jigsaw scolds her for mistreating the doctor. Then he has a seizure, and Lynn springs into action. She enlists Amanda's help in controlling, I like to call him Jiggy. Only when he's having a seizure, because, he's getting jiggy with it.
Oh, okay.
The seizure ends, and Amanda is not in a good way.
No.
She did not like seeing her father figure in such bad ways.
Yeah. Well, she knows he's gonna die.
I don't think she's ready.
Nope.
She's freaked and sad and leaves the room. And Lynn thinks this is her shot to get out, and she tries to play on Amanda's emotions. But Amanda doesn't budge and says, we can just do the operation here in this dirty old warehouse building. She doesn't say it as happily as that. But...
I don't like it. Why do they keep calling it an operation?
Yes.
Wait.
It's a procedure.
A procedure, surgery.
Yeah. He needs an operation.
He needs a thing done.
Yeah.
Not operation. And then I also noted that at this point, it seems like a lot of the scenes were almost shot through a funny, funhouse mirror. Everything seemed really short and wide.
Yeah. And it's also very, the edges of it are distorted.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. They had more money for this one, so, why not try out some really cheap-looking effects?
Make it look worse.
Lynn tells her that she needs anesthetic and a power drill to do the operation.
Oh.
So we're already what are we getting into here? We cut back to Jeff, who's walking through a meat locker with flickering lights, and flickering lights are scary.
Uh-huh.
Then he sees a door with "Face Your Fears" painted on it. I like that Face Your Fears game where you put your arms behind your back and you fall forward and hit your face on the floor.
Yeah, I never played that.
Yeah, it's funny. He goes through the door and into a freezer, and there's a naked woman hanging from the ceiling bound by the wrist. Bondage boobies!
She's cold.
She's very cold, and I feel bad for her. The lady has ice clinging to her hair, and then she comes to. She begs Jeff to free her, but his key doesn't work on her restraints. He finds another tape recorder, and the tape tells him that this woman was an eyewitness to his son's accident. She saw it happen, and she ran away. Jigsaw tells Jeff that he can free her by getting the key at the back of the room, and it's behind some very cold-looking pipes. When the tape stops, water starts spraying on the lady, freezing her to death.
That's not good.
No. She tells Jeff that she didn't do anything, and he screams, "That's right! You didn't do anything! He died in my arms! My 8-year-old son died in my arms!" And then he gives her a mean look.
You acted that almost as well as he did.
I know. This guy... Okay, if you can't cover up your accent, just speak in your accent.
Well, and it's I don't mean to be like this, but look at him. He is clearly Scottish.
Oh, yes. I don't know if that was Darren Lynn Bozeman's thing.
I don't know.
No. You can't talk like that because you're married to an American doctor.
She would never marry a Scot.
So the woman tells Jeff that she made a mistake and she's very sorry. And Jeff decides, okay, it's time to save her now. He reaches for the key, but it's buried pretty deeply behind the pipes, and he can't reach it without putting some bare skin on the pipes. The water continues spraying, and now there's a thin layer of ice covering the woman.
He could have used his shirt.
Or his tried a little harder.
Pants.
Or
just put it up against the bar, and then you can put your face.
Yeah, that's what
up
I was
there.
thinking. He's wearing that sweater.
Yes.
Pull the sweater up over your face.
Yeah, and then lean as far as you want.
Yeah. Jeff goes back to get the key, and he touches his face to the pipes. His skin sticks to them, and when he backs away, it rips a bunch of skin off of his face.
Ew.
He gets the key and goes back to the woman, but she's already frozen to death, and she's all entombed in ice.
This is badass.
Yeah. Oh, and when he's like rubbing at the like
Uh-huh.
lock.
And like the water just starts like crackling down.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Jeff is distraught now, and he gets out of the room to find another note saying, "One bullet will end it all," and another piece of the family photo. Now he has himself and his son's pictures from the family photo. Inside the box with the photo, there's a note and a single bullet. But he doesn't have a gun. What's he going to do with that bullet?
Throw it at him.
Back in the Jigsaw hideout, Lynn is walking around with a tray of tools, and she looks at all the torture implements and possible weapons. She sees the reverse bear trap that Amanda had strapped on her in the first movie, and she snoops some more and finds a cordless phone. But when she's reaching for it, the reverse bear trap goes off, and it scares the poop out of her.
It does.
She backs up, and boom, there's Amanda, looking real creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn tells Amanda that if she really cares about John, she will not let her do this procedure on him. She tries to plead with Amanda, but Amanda's psycho, so this doesn't work.
This is Oscar-worthy acting here, too.
Oh, yes. It's, they all gave a tour de force performance as compared to Troll 2.
Yeah.
Then Amanda hands Lynn an axe and tells her to go ahead and kill her, but do it quietly so John doesn't hear. Otherwise, he may just rip his heart monitor off and detonate the collar. And then she tells Lynn that if you do kill me and John doesn't hear, you still can't get 30 feet out that door without your collar detonating. Unless you know where the device is. If the device, that key that you have hiding between your boobs.
Yeah.
Amanda tells Lynn that she has everything she needs. And Lynn says, "I have what I need to cut someone open. I don't have the tools to save a life." And Amanda gets a far-off look in her eyes and responds, "You'd be surprised what tools can save a life." And then she looks at the reverse bear trap.
Oh, it saved her life.
It did. It gave her a purpose.
Killing people.
Yes. Now we're in a flashback where Jigsaw is painting Billy the puppet, and he has his plans laid out on his work table for Amanda's game. Then we see him fitting the device on Amanda's head as the video plays from the first movie. We see her escape the game and hear Jigsaw's congratulations to her, and he does say, "In the stomach of your dead cellmate."
Oh.
He did say dead, because remember when we were talking about it, you were like, did he say dead? I don't think he did. And I was like, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does say dead.
He does say dead. Because when we were talking about it, I'm like, maybe he didn't say dead.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you that when I got done watching it the other night. I'm like, he does say dead. So she goes back to her apartment, and Jigsaw is just waiting there for her. And he tells her, "Amanda, do not be afraid. Your life has just begun." It's good writing.
It's intense.
Cut back to present time, and Amanda is sitting on her cot in the warehouse looking through a metal box. She stashes the box under some blankets and goes into John's makeshift hospital room. He looks just about dead.
Mm-hmm.
He looks even worse than before.
Yeah.
She informs him that Jeff made it through the freezer room in his test, and he tried to save the frozen woman. Do you want to build a witness? Now we see Lynn going through her surgical tools, and they don't look very official.
What makes you say that?
Well, there's a power drill and a circular saw. Jigsaw tells Amanda that he has some things she needs to do for him, and the info is in his center desk drawer. Amanda tells John that Lynn is going to do a procedure on him to relieve the pressure on his brain and help with his headaches. She breaks down and she tells him she can't do this. Jigsaw tells her he can, because she is stronger now and he believes in her.
Oh, he's such a good daddy.
He is. Amanda asks Jigsaw if he chose Lynn because she is the best. And then he gets this little wry smile on his face and he says, "That's one reason I chose her." I wonder what the other reason is. Back in Jeff's test area, he walks around a corner and sees a tricycle at the end of the hallway. It's twisted like it's been hit by a car. And the wound on the side of his face looks really gnarly.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
It's not doing so hot.
Billy the puppet is lying on the floor next to the trike, and it gives Jeff flashbacks to his son after he was hit by the car. He picks up Billy the puppet, and the puppet starts doing his creepy laughter thing.
The first time I watched this, I kind of forgot about Billy, and I thought that, like, Jigsaw had just staged the kid's, like, accident with a tricycle, and I was like, no 8-year-old rides a tricycle. Why? And then they got to Billy, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's Billy's.
That's why.
Yeah, the kid was riding a bike like a normal kid.
Yeah. But you know what? Billy can't balance on a bike yet.
Nope.
Jeff opens a door in front of him that reads, "Time to let go." And this is the beginning of Mandy's favorite scene in what was it? Cinematographic history. As he opens the door, we see inside the room, and opening the door triggers a new trap to start. It starts up some sort of machine that whirs to life loudly. We hear someone yelling for help. Jeff follows the voice and smells something that almost makes him yak.
Mm-hmm.
He climbs a metal staircase and finds a man restrained in the bottom of a big cauldron type thing.
Yeah, it's like a vat.
Yeah, vat. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, because it's a vat.
Yeah. And he also finds a tape recorder. Jeff plays the tape. How much does Jigsaw spend on tape recorders?
I don't know.
Man, Sony micro cassettes, those aren't cheap.
Maybe he buys them secondhand.
Oh, maybe. Hits up Goodwill.
Garage sales.
Yeah. Jeff plays the tape, and we find out that the man who is restrained in the pit is the judge who sentenced the drunk driver who killed his son to such a light sentence. If Jeff doesn't intervene, the man will be killed. But to save him, he has to hit a button on an incinerator that will burn all of his son's toys and stuffed animals and photos to get the key. Jigsaw's rationale is that destroying the things he is holding on to will free him, and he will be one step closer to getting to confront the drunk driver who killed his son. The machine starts up, and dead, rotten-looking pigs are hauled into the room on a hoist overhead. They drop into a large grinder, and they're turned into goo and sludge that pours all over the judge in the vat. Mandy loves it.
The scene makes me want to die. I can't handle it. And Jeff can't cover his accent here. And he sounds like an old dude for some reason.
Yes. The dead pigs, they just keep coming and dropping into the grinder.
They're like gray and they have maggots on them. And
the oozy gushiness that comes out of the pipe below is like...
But there's like chunks in it too.
It's like brownish red.
It's liquid. But there's chunks.
I can taste it.
I hate it.
It's gross.
I can't taste it, and I'm glad.
Jeff tells him that giving his son's killer 6 months wasn't justice. The judge pleads with him a bunch, and he tells him a whole bunch of bullshit. And he's like, hey, you know what? We can totally just like retry the guy, because that's a thing. And then the judge says, I have a son too. And that triggers something in Jeff, and he goes to the incinerator. But Jeff is having a dilemma. He doesn't want to lose all of his tactile memories of Dylan. The judge keeps screaming, and Jeff tells him to shut the fuck up in a Scottish accent. Finally, Jeff hits the button on the incinerator and cries while all of his son's stuff burns. Now, what I think is weak about this is Amanda was the one who came and got him out of the house. Mm-hmm. And she took all the pictures of the kid.
Yeah. That's just mean.
Like, I can understand... all the toys and stuffed animals. And,
that's fine, but like
you can let that stuff go.
And hopefully it wasn't all of the pictures.
Yeah, but there were a lot of pictures in there. Like, just leave him the pictures.
Yeah, that's cruel.
As everything burns, a key drops into the ashtray in the bottom of the incinerator. Jeff gets the key, and it's like it's not hot at all.
Yeah, he just picks it right up.
He just picks it up, and it was just in a fucking incinerator.
Yeah.
He runs back up the ladder to save the judge, and the judge is restrained by the neck in the bottom of this vat, and the dead pig sludge is now almost up to his face. Mm-hmm. Like, his ears are under
His ears are covered.
And there are chunks of grossness and maggots, and... Gah.
And it's kind of milky. Uh-huh. And bubbly.
It's like milk pus blood. Should we make a shirt that just says milk pus blood?
No. Nobody wants that.
So Jeff climbs down into the pit with the judge, and he unlocks his restraint just as the next load of pigs that would have drowned the judge in slop gets ground up.
Can you imagine, like, how'd your husband die? Oh, he was drowned by pig
Pig goo.
slop? Goo? Liquid pig?
That's not the way to go.
No. You have to taste that the whole time you're dying.
Oh, I can taste it, and I wasn't even in the room. Amanda watches on the monitors back in Command Central, and Lynn is getting her surgical area all prepped. Amanda comes in and tells Jigsaw that Jeff made it through the second test, and he saved the judge. Jigsaw seems impressed and says, "It's faster than I expected." Lynn is shaving John's head for the procedure, and I gotta say, this is the part that looks the fakest out of the whole thing, was her shaving his head.
No.
It looked so fake.
Her doing the surgery looked so fake.
Oh, I think it's impressive.
If you look at the hair.
Oh, yeah, the hair is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no Lori's wig.
No. Or Amanda's wig's here coming up.
Oh, yeah. Lynn tells him what's happening and what she's going to do to help him. She numbs the area and dives in with the scalpel. She's very nervous, and Amanda looks like she's getting off on Lynn's suffering. And now comes my favorite part, and I think this might be one of Mandy's least favorite parts.
This didn't bother me.
Really? I thought this was going to bug you.
No, because
the hair was so bad.
The hair was so bad. No, it just seemed very clinical.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so, like, I don't know, it didn't bother me like I thought it would. I guess because it's not in form of torture.
Oh, yeah. It's somebody doing something nice for someone.
Yeah.
So Lynn cuts a flap of skin away from Jigsaw's head and pins it back with some clamps, and then she calls Amanda over to assist her. And we can see inside Jigsaw's head now. Lynn squirts alcohol into Jigsaw's skull, and then grabs her trusty power drill.
Mm-hmm.
She's measured out how deep she needs to go on the bit with just some tape.
Yeah.
She just puts a tape line around the bit so she knows how far to go in without hitting his brain.
Yeah. And I'm sure she just knows that number off the top of her head.
It's 1/4 inch.
Are you serious?
Human skull, 1/4 inch. Haven't you ever played with a skull?
No.
I have no idea. I'm talking out of my ass
Okay,
here.
I was like, is this like common knowledge that I don't know?
No, I was just going to see if I could get you to believe me.
I believed you because you know weird shit like that.
I do. I know a lot of weird stuff. She tells Jigsaw that he's about to hear a lot of noise, and he needs to keep his mouth closed.
What bothered me the most with this scene is she doesn't have on fucking gloves. And it's...
Yeah.
And she's just like, she just has blood all over her hands, and
It's pretty gross.
I can't handle that.
Lynn keeps her eyes on the vitals, and then she starts drilling. Amanda doesn't like it. Lynn drills 4 holes into Jigsaw's skull, and we can see his heart rate starting to rise on the monitor.
That's not good.
Now that Lynn has her holes drilled, she pulls out a little power saw and cuts between her 4 drill marks, creating a square of skull that she can just easily remove.
Oh.
I had no idea it was so easy to get to a brain.
I know. Do you want to try it later?
Kinda. Can you fix my migraines? Then she tells Jigsaw she's going to remove the skull. Not the whole thing, you fucking drama queen. So she takes off the section of the skull she cut away, and we can see Jigsaw's brain pulsating beneath a little membrane.
Okay, she said she was just going to cut like a little bit of his skull. That sucker's like 3 inches by 3 inches.
It's like palm size.
It's huge.
So Lynn cuts the membrane away and some blood oozes out. And now we can see Jigsaw's brain. It's all exposed, and I wrote it's ishy looking.
It's ishy.
It's ishy.
Squishy.
Jigsaw's eyes roll back in his head, and his heart rate is over 100 beats per minute. But then it starts to drop. Lynn tells him to raise his hand, and when he does, he starts to flatline. We can see that he's having visions of his wife in a park on a nice fall day. Amanda's freaking the fuck out, and Lynn is trying to get Jigsaw to breathe. He's still having visions of his wife, but he comes to and grabs Lynn's hand and tells her that he loves her. This does not sit well with Amanda, even though you can tell he's totally out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he's not in the room with Lynn right now.
He's not saying this to Lynn.
And this does not mean that he is in love with Lynn.
No. He had told his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, he was telling his wife that he loved her. But Amanda doesn't like it.
No. Amanda runs off to her cot room, because it's not a bedroom.
No, it's just a room with a cot.
And she grabs a little metal box, and it appears that this box is her self-harm kit. It has a scalpel and a razor blade and gauze and a big bottle of isopropyl alcohol. And I thought it was going to be heroin.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to pull out a box of heroin stuff.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Amanda now grabs a fucking Rambo knife and starts cutting the inside of her thigh with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see that there are several scars on her legs from previous cutting sessions.
Yeah.
So we get some flashbacks to bonding moments between Amanda and Jigsaw, and he tells her that the track marks on her arm are from another life, and they're going to leave that life behind. And once she starts down the Jigsaw path, there's no turning back. And then he tries to sell her a timeshare in Florida. That joke didn't land, did it?
No.
No. He gives her an envelope and tells her to go. Her first mission was abducting Adam for the test in the first movie. After she subdued Adam with drugs, she peels off the pig mask and she cries and cries and cries.
She cries a lot.
Yeah.
And her wig is awful.
Also in her flashback, we see Amanda delivering Adam to the shitty bathroom from the first movie. She finishes the prep for the game with Adam after she brings him in, and Jigsaw is doing his makeup, and he's painting the X on the wall and his glow-in-the-dark paint.
He's getting ready for his party.
And this scene is really long.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I put that it could have been about 30 seconds. Like, her arriving with Adam would have been enough.
Yeah.
That's it.
She could just wheel him into the room.
Yeah.
Jigsaw could dose himself with the muscle relaxant and be like, close the door on your way out.
Yep.
It's all we needed. It doesn't take away from the movie. It just adds 4 minutes of unneeded time.
I was going to say, it doesn't add anything.
Now we're back in present time, and Lynn is cleaning up after her little jiggy procedure. He's all bandaged up and sleeping, and Amanda comes in after bandaging herself up. She hugs Jigsaw, and she's whispering something in his ear, and Lynn tells her, Jigsaw can't hear anything you're saying to him right now. He doesn't even know you're here.
Not a good thing to say, Lynn.
No. Amanda loses her shit and comes at Lynn, putting her in a chokehold and backing her into a wall while pulling a gun from her waistband. Jigsaw comes to and orders Amanda to put the gun away and leave the room. Jigsaw apologizes to Lynn for Amanda's behavior and tells her she swims in my sea. In the end, she'll be the closest thing I've ever come to a connection, to being understood. But her emotion is also her weakness.
Oh.
She swims in my sea.
Yeah. I don't want to be in that sea.
Mummy came in my room. Monster Squad. Amanda goes back out to the warehouse and picks up some sharp implements and checks the monitors, and she's squeezing the sharp thing hard enough that she draws blood and it drips on the floor next to her. She's going through some stuff.
She has some feelings.
We go back to an Amanda flashback where she comes to in the shitty bathroom where she comes back into the shitty bathroom after all of the first test is said and done. And she wakes Adam and tells him that she's going to help him, to free him. And then she puts a plastic bag over his head and asphyxiates him. And she's crying the entire time.
Uh-huh.
She needs some help.
Does Jigsaw know about this? Because, his whole thing is he didn't want to kill people.
Yeah, I think that he wouldn't be cool with this. Back in Jeff's test area, he and the judge are walking down a hallway. He finds another red velvet-lined box with a gun clip in it and a card that reads, "One step closer to your revenge." On the back of the note is another piece of the family photo. This one has his daughter on it. The judge tells Jeff that no sentence he could have given would have made Jeff feel any better, and vengeance doesn't take the pain away. Jeff opens the door to the room with paint on it, and there's a younger man strapped into a machine. His arms are straight out in like a crucifix position, and there are screws holding his head in place. We can see some gearing on the device above his head. And then Jeff plays the tape recorder, that was hanging around the restrained man's neck. We find out from Jigsaw's tape that the man in the trap is the drunk driver who killed Jeff's son.
Uh-oh.
He's 27, his name is Timothy Young, and he's a medical student. We see flashbacks to the accident. The man in the trap was crying and very distraught after hitting Dylan. And now Jigsaw explains the trap. The device Timothy is strapped into is my personal favorite. I call it the rack. The human body is a miraculous creation. Ever wonder how far the arm can twist? This device is going to start twisting. There's a chance he might live through, with your help. To your right is a box. At the back of the box is a key. It's tied to the trigger of a shotgun. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to take a bullet for the man who killed your son? Does do unto other as you would have them do unto you apply here, Jeff? Make your choice.
Couldn't I just reach in and grab it and
Keep your head out of the way?
yeah.
That's
Or my shoulder or
yeah. That's
like-
kind of what I was thinking. I think I could get up under the box with my arm
yeah.
and reach my arm into the box
Yeah.
with my whole head and everything out of the way.
You might catch it to the wrist or hand.
Or just get
But-
grazed or something. While the tape is playing, we can see more of the device and how Timothy is secured to it. His legs and arms and head have huge screws going through them, holding him in the trap. There are gears on the device on each limb, and when the tape stops, the device starts. We see the gears starting to spin and their ticking sounds. Timothy starts screaming, and the judge is looking for a way to get the key. Timothy's hand is turned by the device until we hear the bones snap, and the judge tells Jeff they have to help Timothy. Lots of quick cuts, because it's a Saw movie.
Yeah.
And then we see Timothy's entire forearm and his right arm is twisted and mangled. Then his left arm starts to twist. The judge tells Jeff just by standing there doing nothing, he's an accomplice to murder. Murther.
Murther?
Then he asks him if he's a murderer. Jeff says that since he dreamed about killing not only Timothy, but the judge also every day, he might as well be a murderer.
So dramatic.
Now that Timothy's left arm is sufficiently destroyed, the machine starts twisting one of his legs. The judge tells Jeff to think about his daughter and his wife and what they would want. Now Jeff decides he'd better try to save Timothy. Timothy's right ankle is twisted until his tibia and fibula snap.
Ugh.
Yeah. Then the left leg starts turning, and the judge is trying to comfort Timothy while Jeff gets the key unhooked from the shotgun trap. So he reaches in, and there's a little wing nut
Yeah.
that's holding the key ring, and he undoes that, and he takes the key off. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, that was genius. You didn't even
Yes.
have to pull the line. Good job, right?
Yeah.
Good job.
You did good, Jeff.
And then Jeff nonchalantly says, got the key. He's such a shit actor.
He is.
Jeff turns around towards the judge and Timothy because,
They're both there.
and he lets go of the line that was holding the key. But apparently without the weight of the key on the line, it triggers the shotgun to fire.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I don't either.
I don't get it, but it fires and the slug grazes Jeff, but it hits the judge full on in the face.
Yeah.
Half of his head is blown off, and now Timothy's head is being twisted. Jeff can't seem to find out where he put the key. He's just he just goes up to the machine and tries to stop it from turning.
He can't figure out where to put the key.
Oh, okay. I was kind of lost here. I was like, what? Why does he just go up and grab the top of his
No,
head?
I think he couldn't find anywhere for it to go.
Oh, okay. He hugs Timothy and starts screaming, I forgive him! Stop! I forgive him! He hugs Timothy, and when the machine twists Timothy's head around 180 degrees, he's real dead.
He's very dead. And I said, this trap didn't really bother me all that much. But now I question Jigsaw again. Or is Amanda going rogue?
Let's find out in the exciting conclusion. Amanda is watching Jeff's progress on the monitors. She's breathing heavily and holding a gun, so I think she's not doing so well.
Mhm.
Jigsaw seems to be trying to get inside of Lynn's head for some reason, and he wants to know about her husband. She says they're like strangers now, but she would give anything just to see him again. Jigsaw taunts her a little, and she tells him that her marriage has endured more suffering than he could ever imagine. He replies by looking her dead in the eyes and saying, "Suffering? You haven't seen anything yet." And then Lynn gets this look on her face like,
Uh-oh.
oh, fuck. Lynn calls him a murderer, and he tells her he doesn't condone murder, and he hates murderers. He grasps her hand, and then Amanda comes in. She sees Jigsaw holding Lynn's hand, and this does not please her.
No.
Jigsaw tells Amanda to leave. He's like, "Leave me and Lynn alone."
Mm-hmm.
She storms out of the room, and she goes to the desk drawer that Jigsaw told her about earlier. She finds the envelope with her name on it. Amanda opens the envelope, but we don't get to see what's inside yet.
Nope.
We see what seems to be an unneeded shot of Jeff in his test area with the camera spinning around him, because we have to have the camera spinning. Then we cut back to Lynn, who asks Jigsaw to let her go in return for saving his life. Jigsaw tells Lynn, "Maybe my life isn't the one you were saving after all." Now we see Amanda reading a handwritten letter from Jigsaw that was in her envelope. She starts hyperventilating. We cut back to Jigsaw's room, and he's pouring candle wax on a micro cassette that says "Play Me" on it. Like, what are you doing, Jigsaw? This looks like the beginning of a trap.
He doesn't want somebody to play that one.
He asks Lynn about her daughter, but Lynn doesn't say anything, so he asks about her son. Lynn spins around and gets defensive at the mention of her son. We see Jeff test arming himself with things that he finds in his test area hallway rooms.
Yeah.
He's like, "Is this good? Can I hit someone with this thing?" Jigsaw tells Lynn that she should stop living with the dead when she has such a beautiful family. Amanda's done reading her letter now, and it appears that she is not happy at all with what it said.
Nope.
She starts storming back towards Jigsaw's makeshift hospital room. Amanda comes back in the room and tells Jigsaw that Jeff made it through the third test. He tells Lynn this means she's free to go. And Amanda's like, "Whoa, bitch, nope. He's not out yet."
Nope. She doesn't like that idea.
Jigsaw tells Amanda to undo the collar and let Lynn go because she is more important than Amanda could know. And Amanda refuses, and she pulls her gun and cocks it. When you cock the gun, that means you're serious.
Yeah. I know that means you mean business.
Yes, that's the business end. Jigsaw reminds her that there are rules to their game. And now Amanda has gone full petulant child on him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing everything but stomping her feet.
Yeah.
Jigsaw tells her that even with the gun in her hand, it's Lynn who holds Amanda's life in her hands.
Oh.
What? What's going on? Amanda's fully gone now. She's waving her gun around and telling everyone to shut up. And Jigsaw brings up
her temper tantrum here reminds me so much of Renee Zellweger's hissy fit in Empire Records.
It's always about her. Great. Now I'm never going to be able to watch this movie the same way.
Sorry. But like, I don't know, like her like cadence in the like fit. Like,
yeah.
They're just similar.
Oh, now I want to watch Empire Records. I love it. Jigsaw brings up the other test subjects that they let live, and Amanda spills the beans about her actions with the other test subjects. We see a flashback of Detective Donnie Wahlberg getting out of his trap and limping down the hallway on his broke-ass ankle.
Ugh.
Amanda hears him and she starts following him. He hides around a corner, and she gasps and moans a lot while she's walking. He hears this, so he hides with a metal pipe, and then as soon as she rounds the corner, he bashes her in the head a few times. And then she kicks his broken ankle.
It's bad.
I like this part of the fight, though, because he falls down on the ground because she kicked his broken ankle. And he's like, "Oh, a leg. I'm going to bite that."
Yeah.
And he bites it real hard.
Hey, if you got to play dirty, you got to play dirty.
As she kicked his broken ankle.
Yeah.
So he beats on her some more after slamming her head into the wall a whole bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think she would have been dead.
Yeah.
He's a lot bigger than her, and he
Yeah.
looks like a pretty fit dude. But yeah, he beats on her. And does he ask her where Daniel is?
tell me where my son is. I don't think he says Daniel this time.
Okay.
I think he just says son.
And in response, Amanda just spits blood in his face. So he beats on her some more, and then she kicks his ankle again.
Enough with the fucking ankles.
Just stop with the ankles. She leaves him in the hallway until he screams, "You're not Jigsaw, bitch!"
Burn.
And she walks back toward him, and the flashback is over. So we can only imagine what she did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda tells Jigsaw, "That's right, I'm a murderer. He took my life from me, so I just returned the fucking favor."
Amanda's tough now.
She is. Jigsaw tells her that she just left him for dead, but he cleaned up her mistakes and forgave her for them.
He's such a nice man.
He's a good daddy. We see Jeff walking with a purpose now through another hallway. Amanda tells Jigsaw that what he does is no better than murder, and Jigsaw tells her, "You're walking us towards a precipice, Amanda. Step back." She replies with, "It's bullshit. Nobody changes. It's all a lie." And Jigsaw tells her, "If you fail in this, we all fail. Succeed, and we all succeed." Oh, it's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
The world is on her shoulders.
Jeff is walking through some more hallways and finds a locked chain link door. He remembers the key from the first velvet-lined box he encountered, and he takes it out of his pocket. Amanda tells Jigsaw that she means nothing to him. He tells her that she means everything to him, and their fates are linked. So she asks Jigsaw why Lynn is so important to him, and he says, "She's not important to me. She's important to you."
She's your mom.
Dun, dun, dun! It goes full soap opera. Your mother is a time traveler. Jeff finds another red velvet-lined box with a gun in it and a note that reads, "Last chance." He takes the gun and puts the clip in it. Jigsaw is still talking to Amanda and tells her that her time is running out. We see Jeff walk into the Jigsaw workshop just outside of the Jigsaw room. And that's where Lynn, Amanda, and Jigsaw are all having this little spat.
He's right there.
Jigsaw says, "Think about everything you've done. Think about what you promised me. Think about our dreams. You think about tomorrow." Jeff gets almost to the door to the Jigsaw hospital room and he says Lynn's name. She yells his name back and rushes towards the door. They know each other?
How do they know each other?
I don't know. Amanda is crying and holding the gun and all limply, but she still cranks off a shot at Lynn and hits her somewhere in the back region.
I thought it looked like
I don't know. Blood sprays up on the
she got shot.
The meat locker curtains. And then Lynn collapses into Jeff's arms. Jigsaw tells Amanda, "You just destroyed 4 lives. You just murdered Jeff's wife." They're married.
No way.
Oh my gosh, that's why the dude she was supposedly boning in the beginning said he wanted a divorce from her.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Such good writing.
It just twisted on its head. I have no idea where we're even at now. Jeff shoots Amanda in the neck and she bleeds and gasps a lot. Amanda falls to the floor and Jigsaw reaches his hand out to her and he says, "Amanda, it's okay. This was your test. Your game. I was testing you. I took you in. I selected you for the honor of carrying on my life's work. But you didn't. You didn't test anyone's will to live. Instead, you took away their only chance. Your games were unwinnable. Your test subjects, merely victims. In my desperation, I decided to give you one last chance, so I put everything in place. You didn't know that Lynn and Jeff were husband and wife. We didn't either."
No.
It's so surprising.
It is.
"I had to keep that from you for the purposes of my game. I had to leave out the ruined marriage, the cheating wife, the vengeful husband, the neglected daughter, and I let you make your own choices. I wanted you to succeed. The rules of our game have been made very clear. You need to abide by those rules. You couldn't."
She's a rule breaker.
I think she failed the test.
Yeah, she did.
As Jigsaw gives this speech, we flash back through all of his interactions that we thought were with Lynn while Amanda was in the room. It turns out he was talking to Amanda the whole time. He even looked at her when he said, "I want to play a game."
Mm-hmm.
While the flashback is going on, it flashes back to Amanda in present time a few times, and we can see Jigsaw's words are sinking in while she's bleeding out. See what I did there? In, out.
Out.
God, I'm such a good writer.
You are.
When she falls to the floor and is nearly dead, he says, "Game over."
Yeah, I wish you would have written that line. That was a winner.
Amanda is dead, and Jigsaw turns his attention to Jeff, who is pointing his gun at Jigsaw, even though we know he only had one bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Jigsaw says, "You haven't learned anything tonight, have you? Your rage and your vengeance will only hurt the ones you love. Killing me will only add to your misery. It will not bring back your son. Think about your daughter, Jeff. She needs you now more than ever. You can't kill me, Jeff." He just keeps saying Jeff over and over and over.
He wants to make sure he knows his name.
It's Jeff, right?
It was
Jeff?
Hefe?
Hefe, okay. Hefe is totally breaking down, and we see that Lynn is losing her life very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff pulls the trigger on his gun, but he only had one bullet. Like, dumbass, they don't fire twice.
They don't?
No. Jigsaw reminds Jeff that Lynn doesn't have much time left. He tells him, "Do not miscalculate. Your fate is in my hands. Your wife's fate is in my hands." Jeff goes to be with Lynn, and she's very bloody,
Mm-hmm.
and Jeff gets her blood all over his hands while trying to help her. She tells him she loves him, and they share a bloody handhold.
There's so much bloody hand holding.
Uh-huh. And the blood looks really thick.
Well,
Like, it looks like gelatin.
yeah.
Jigsaw pipes in again with, "Though you may not see any threat, there are threats all around you. Hefe, if you try to move your wife, she will die. I can have an ambulance here in 4 minutes. Would you like to take your wife out of here tonight? Would you like to take her to safety? Stand and face me, Jeff, right now. Would you like to get your life back? Would you, Hefe? I can make that happen. Which is it, Jeff? Come on, yes or no?" Jeff says yes and asks Jigsaw what he wants. Jigsaw says there's one final test. He tells Jeff that he can either forgive him or he can take vengeance for the pain that he has caused he and his wife tonight. He shows him that there's a table full of what he calls vicious implements
So dangerous.
that he could use to take his revenge. Then Jigsaw tells him, "Live or die. Make our choice."
Uh-oh.
And now the game over theme is it's just going nuts. Jeff comes over and puts his hand on Jigsaw's chest, and he tells him, "I forgive you." And this is the only time he's able to cover up his accent in the whole fucking movie. Then he picks up a circular saw and revs it up a couple of times, and Jigsaw smiles.
Yeah.
And Lynn pleads with Jeff to stop, but Jeff slits Jigsaw's throat with the saw. As Jigsaw bleeds out, Jeff tells him again, "I forgive you." The game over theme
Wouldn't
is,
you have just cut his fucking head off? Why did you just slit his throat?
I'm a little sadistic. I would have cut his balls. Like, "I forgive you." Wonk.
Bleed out.
The game over theme starts cranking up, and the green light on Lynn's collar turns red and starts flashing. Jigsaw's heart rate monitor flatlines. Just before he dies, Jigsaw pulls out a tape recorder and hits play. And it says, "Hello, Hefe. I made this tape as an insurance policy." As an insurance policy, if you will. And if you're listening to it, it's time to collect. The doors inside the workshop swing shut and lock, and Jigsaw's voice on the tape continues. "I was your final test of forgiveness, and if you're listening to this, then you failed, and you must pay the price. The price for living for nothing but vengeance. Now I will give you something to live for. I told you that you couldn't kill me, Jeff, but I didn't tell you why. The answer is very simple. I am the person responsible for the loss of your child. I am the only person who knows where your daughter is.
Uh-oh.
The camera goes down a hallway blocked by a bunch of random shit, and at the end of the hallway is a red door. We see through the keyhole in the door that Jeff and Lynn's daughter is in the room, all by herself.
Oh.
Jigsaw's voice continues on the tape. She only has a limited supply of air, Hefe. And if you don't want to, and if you want to get her back,
Yeah, I think he wants to get her back,
Yeah.
not...
you'll have to play a game.
Uh-oh.
Lynn calls out to Jeff as the monitor flatlines, and we see that Jigsaw is dead. There's a loud bang, and Jeff gets splattered with blood before we go into a montage of scenes from all 3 movies. Then we see Lynn's absolutely destroyed head, and it's nasty
It looks like the inside of a pumpkin, but like bloody.
and hamburgery.
Yeah.
Then the screen whites out. Credits. Mandy, what was the body count?
9.
Would you like to start us off?
Yes. We had Troy, who was blown apart.
Detective Carey, ribcage ripped open.
Danica Scott, the eyewitness, was frozen solid.
You know, I think that's the best kill in the movie. It's the one that disturbs me the most.
Yes.
Adam, suffocated with plastic bag.
Weak. Jude Halden had his head blasted off with a shotgun.
Which is a lot better than how he could have died.
Drowning on liquid pig.
Ugh. Timothy Young, tick-tock twisting of limbs and neck.
Amanda was shot in the neck.
And Jigsaw had his throat slit with a circular saw.
Should have been cut off. And then Lynn had her head exploded. Let's start that over.
Explosion.
Lynn's head exploded via shotgun shell collar.
Boom.
Boom.
Pumpkin meat. What were your reactions, Mandy?
The gore wasn't as bad as I was anticipating, but I wasn't very impressed with this movie.
Really?
The acting was just plain ridiculous. I didn't feel like there was any kind of a plot. There was more just like a collection of scenes. And then I said it might sound stupid, but I was confused during a lot of the games. Like, did he want Jeff to be saving everyone? And then
Yeah, that was his test of forgiveness.
but obviously not, because the rat guy didn't have a key. Did he not know that Amanda just didn't build a keyhole into the trap?
He explains that at the end. He says that your test subjects were just victims. So he knew what she was doing.
Okay. Who was the guy in the classroom?
This is just Troy. He was just superfluous victim.
Why did Carrie die?
Because she was trying to hunt down Jigsaw.
Oh, okay.
And they don't like Detective Matthews, and she's his friend.
That's true. The thing I liked about these movies was that everything was tied up and made sense at the end. And with this movie, I just didn't like the reveal of it. It didn't feel as...
Cohesive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just fucking smart, but the big reveal that it was all for Amanda, I figured that out way early.
Yeah, but you also figured out who Kaiser Soze was.
Because as soon as he I think it was when he was holding hands with Lynn and he looked up and saw Amanda was watching, and then it was something clicked in him and was oh, I can use this.
Uh-huh.
I'm he's fucking testing her, obviously.
Yeah.
So the big reveal at the end wasn't a big reveal for me.
Yeah. Well, aren't you just so smart?
I'm so fucking smart.
I said, not as good as the first 2, but I think it is an excellent conclusion to a great horror trilogy. I don't think the series should have gone on from here.
I would have been okay with it. I mean, I don't know how it goes, but it would have been a good threesome.
Yeah. A good threesome with Jigsaw.
Yeah.
The special effects were great.
Yeah.
I like the score a lot. I like that this movie actually had a score instead of just like grinding guitar sounds.
Mhm. It didn't feel quite as much as like a Nine Inch Nails music video.
Yeah. The acting leaves a lot to be desired.
A lot.
And the quick cuts and spinning camera were toned down a lot in this installment, which
Yeah.
was good. I love the test within a test within a test twist where you're like, oh, Jeff's being tested and Lynn's being tested.
Uh-huh.
But it's all just a test for Amanda. But then it spins back around and you're like, no, this was Jeff's test.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, Jeff was just like a pawn. And you're like, no, this was Jeff's test.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see Amanda get her comeuppance. I think she deserved to die a lot.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Would you like to hear some production facts?
Absolutely.
1,000. That's 1,000.
1 with 3 zeros.
Mhm. Special posters were made and were sold for $20 each in support of this film in the American Red Cross. Tobin Bell donated 2 vials of his own blood to be dumped into the red ink. All 1,000 posters were then printed with the red ink and sold later. However, the first print was put up for auction. It was also signed by the entire cast and crew, and all proceeds went to the American Red Cross.
That's pretty awesome.
I know.
Darren Lynn Bousman, James Wan, and Lee Winnell didn't want to make another Saw movie. They were at lunch together when they heard of producer Greg Hoffman's death, and they decided, you know what? We got to make another Saw movie. He wanted it. Now he's dead.
Now we got to do it for him. A scene was scripted and filmed where John,
Jiggy.
Jigsaw, shows some regret for what he has done. He realizes that he will be remembered as a murderer, not as someone who helped people. But Tobin Bell said later on that he was glad the scene was cut.
I wouldn't want to see that.
No.
Like, I don't want him having a deathbed realization.
Yeah. That
Like,
would have just been cheesy and lame.
I want him to go down like, this was my plan.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. The bathroom set in this movie wasn't the original set. They borrowed it from Scary Movie 4.
How sad is that? Like, hey, movie that makes a parody of us, can we borrow your set?
I like that a lot.
That's all the facts I had.
I have one more.
You do?
Shawnee Smith, who played Amanda, wasn't supposed to grab Bahar Sumac, who plays Lynn, by the throat and threaten her.
Oh.
So Lynn's reaction on screen is 100% real because that was not scripted. But she went with it, so Amanda continued and threw her into the wall. And the line, "You fucking freak," was ad-libbed by the actress who played Lynn.
Okay, because that scene felt really weird.
Yeah.
Like, and when she says fucking freak, it was like...
Like when Amanda starts walking away from her and she's like, "You fucking freak."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt real. That was the only time anything felt real.
Yeah. She just got into it and
Yeah.
grabbed her by the throat and threw her into a wall.
That happens.
Did you have any goofs?
I did not.
I only noticed one goof in this movie. During the operation scene,
Uh-huh.
Lynn's hair continually goes from down to up to down to up.
Oh.
It's like, I think she ties it in kind of a bun.
Yeah.
And then the next shot, it's down on her shoulder. And then the next shot, it's back up in the bun.
Uh-huh.
And then it's down on her shoulder again. And then it's in a ponytail. I'm like, whoa.
There was no continuity there.
Nobody looked at that, did they? Mandy, who are you?
I'm Amanda because duh, we share a name.
I said, you are Amanda.
But my reason was, I'll do what's asked of me, but I'm gonna like put my own twist on it.
Okay, we said like the same thing.
Really?
I said, Mandy is Amanda. She isn't going to play the game by the rules. She's just going to blaze her own trail and do what she wants.
Yeah. Like, I'll do what you want me to, but I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Who'd you say I was?
I said you were Lynn
Really?
because you will do what's asked of you, but you'll try to talk your way out of it the whole time.
That's very true. So, can I go home now?
Uh-huh.
I said I'm Jeff because I'm going to get so hung up on my emotions that I won't be able to see past them And I will act rashly instead of listening to anyone.
Yeah, that's true too.
I got that French temper in me.
Yeah.
Final thoughts and ratings?
I rated it a 4 out of 10.
That's far too low.
Once again, I just didn't care for this movie. It felt very much like an excuse to make traps, and that's it. The acting was inexcusably bad. The entire film didn't have the same feel as the first two. It just didn't have that, like...
It wasn't gritty.
That's what I put. It didn't have that grittiness.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff and Lynn being husband and wife just seemed like a cheap out.
Yeah.
And I don't like how it ended with the little girl being held captive. And then I was so worried about the gore in this movie, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the movie itself.
The gore's not as bad as that plot. I said, it isn't as good as the original or the sequel, but I have a hard time taking points away from it. I took 1 point off for Jeff being a horrible actor. I took 1 point off for still having the stupid quick cuts and the spinny camera.
Yeah.
And I took a point off for the plot getting a little jumbled and hard to follow at the end. Because like, oh, it's a test for Lynn. No, it's not. It's a test for Amanda. No, it's not. It's a test for Jeff. And that was like, it was a little too much thrown at you all at once. I think that could have been a slow reveal. Like, I'm very big on let the audience discover it for themselves.
Yeah.
So I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I like the test within a test idea, but I didn't like the cliffhanger of Jeff having to go through another test to get his daughter back at the end. Like, I don't feel like that's a Jigsaw thing.
No.
And I feel like that's very much an Amanda thing. Mm-hmm. But Jigsaw was so proud of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on with this? And it just kind of made Jigsaw look like a sadistic asshole instead of someone with a vision.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, oh, I kidnapped your daughter.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah. It just sent Jigsaw out on he's just a psycho killer.
Yeah.
Note. And, I'm not on board with that. But yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. You gave it a 4 out of 10. So it gets a 5.5.
Yeah.
It's not bad for a second sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell the kids where they can find us on the socials?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Franchise Frights Pod, on X and Snapchat at FFrightsPod, or make it easy and just go to the website www.franchisefrightspodcast.com. And you can come next week, next Thursday. We're reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
It might be the longest title we have.
It's long.
It's a long title.
It's probably the shortest movie, too, I bet.
It might be. I don't know, because we've got Child's Play 3 coming up. I think it's like 79 minutes.
I'm so excited.
So I guess until next Thursday, remember, they always come back.
Are you snorting like a pig?